Welcome back, boys, and today we're going to have another discussion style video with me, Dr. Squirrel. And this video was triggered by a lot of messages I'm getting on Discord from people who are displeased with the latest limited, Mrs. Landy, and they're saying Landy is trash, they can't believe she's limited, they don't think she's good, and honestly I think she's mostly fine. She's certainly not a broken hero. She is nothing like SSB tier or something. But it got me thinking that, honestly, I think a lot of people have really high expectations for new heroes lately. And I think that heroes like Landy are going to be the norm moving forward and not the exception. So as always, like all my guide videos, even my discussion videos have topics. So number one, we're going to talk about the fact that most new heroes will generally not be general purpose heroes. Next, we'll talk about the fact that the majority of new heroes will probably revolve around RTA. And number three, we're just going to have a quick discussion about understanding the balancing process and not judging a new hero too soon. So let's just get started right away. So number one, new heroes will likely not be general purpose. Now, what do I mean by that? If we think about the earliest ML5s, the ones that people consider to be really broken and are still used today, the reason that they're so strong is that they're really useful everywhere. You can kind of just draft them into anything and they do work. Like, the quintessential example would be something like Ruel. There's very few situations where having a full heal, 2 full heals, and a revive isn't going to be good. She's good in PvE, she's good in Guild Wars offense, Guild Wars defense, arena. She's literally, if you watch my review, she's like S tier in pretty much everything. So Arbiter Vildred is much the same way. He's just good at everything. And I think we're going to find that these kind of heroes, Smilegate is not a big fan anymore of releasing heroes like this. I think they want the game to be more rock, paper, scissors like. So I think going forward, like, people are expecting to see more heroes like, if I can find her, SSB. And I don't think there will ever be another SSB. SSB is another example of a limited hero that's basically an ML5, arguably better than most ML5s. And when they released her, I didn't think they balanced her right because honestly, she is, again, S tier in pretty much all content. And I really think that Smilegate has moved away from this and they're very careful about their balancing, and I don't think we are ever going to see a hero like this where the community unanimously agrees that they're broken and usable in all content. And for the record, even SSB on release, a lot of people were iffy about, like, on the fence with her when she first came out. And look at her standing now. She's considered one of the best heroes in the game, very contested pick in RTA. The only thing she really doesn't do much anymore is arena defense because Rowana exists, but everywhere else, she's still pretty prevalent. So let's talk about some of the new heroes, like Landy, and I actually looked up what some of the new heroes were in order. So the last few heroes have been Landy, Last Rider Crow, Shu, Briarwitch Isseria, Holiday Yafine, Mui, Remnant Violet, Celine, Ray, Blood Moon Haste, Sinful Angelica, Rowana. And out of all of those, the only ones that you can really argue are general purpose hero are Shu, which hasn't really had an impact in high level RTA and not many people seem to use her, and Remnant Violet. You could argue Remnant Violet is pretty general purpose and you can bring him to most things. Other than that, most of the other heroes are very niche picks, like Last Rider Crow. I know a lot of people are experimenting with him, but it is my strong opinion still that he's not useful in anything outside of RTA. I've seen him in a lot of arena defenses, and he is very underwhelming. Landy is clearly kind of a niche pick against buff teams. Holiday Yafine is seeing some high-level play, but I would argue she's a niche counter pick as well against things like Basar. Celine, Blood Moon Haste, Sinful Angelica, Rowana, those are obviously all heroes designed to counter something specific. Ray debuff teams, Blood Moon Haste revive teams, Sinful Angelica revive teams, and Rowana SSB. So the point is that already in the past like 10 heroes, they've already set this trend that most of the new upcoming heroes are designed to counter a very, very specific mechanic and not generally good against everything. Like the heroes of old, when the hero pool was small, Smilegate had a tendency to release more heroes that were general purpose, can be bring to a lot of content, and were just pretty solid. I think Smilegate is moving more towards this model where they want RTA to be more interesting, so they want to have a bunch of counters to everything. Which leads straight into topic number 2, that new heroes will most likely revolve around RTA. Now, I know some people out there are PvE players, but the reality is that the PvE content in this game is stale and uncompetitive already. We have Hall of Trials, but other than that, most top players are just autoing all the PvE content. They don't care about it. The real top level competition revolves around RTA. And we just discussed all the recent heroes, and they all revolve around countering something in RTA. Like Last Rider Crow is meant to be used in a stall comp, somewhat counter debuff heavy comps with the immunity, and take advantage of the mechanic of Battle Frenzy. Remnant Violet is obviously just a strong nuker, but he's more general purpose, usable everywhere. Briarwitch Iseri is like a counter to K-Rons and just an alternative to Basar for debuffing. Holiday Yafine is another counter to Basar. Mui is not that useful in PvE. I don't even know where she is, but she's designed to kind of enable more debuff comps with offensive pressure by having an attack buff plus a dispel. Like, all of these heroes are designed to slot into a very specific purpose in RTA. Like Blood Moon Haste, I can't imagine anyone using him in PvE for anything. Maybe there's some specific map I'm forgetting that has a bunch of revives, but in general, like something like Blood Moon Haste is a very powerful in RTA against certain drafts, but certainly not a general purpose hero. Like, if the other team doesn't have revives, he is hot garbage. You really wouldn't want to bring him in that situation. So again, all of these heroes that are coming out in the future, I think they're going to have very niche roles, because I think that's what Smilegate wants. They want the drafting process to be a series of counters to each other and people trying to figure out what's the biggest threat, what they need to ban, what they need to pick, and make RTA less of a stale meta, because very early on in RTA it was pretty basic. Everyone just went like Bruiser or Cleave. Everyone was using the same thing, and it's kind of just turned out to be a gear check for both people, assuming that they were equally skilled. But when you have a bunch of counters to everything that hard counter each other, it's going to make the drafts a lot more interesting and somewhat mitigate the impact of gear. I mean, obviously gear is always going to matter a huge amount, but you know, if you have a super, like a 200k CP Arbiter and you're up against a Blood Moon Haste, you're still probably going to be hosed if you're up against a super hard counter. Now let's go into the third thing that I want to talk about, which I think it's important that a lot of people understand, is understanding the balancing process. A lot of people will pick up a new hero like Landy, and they'll play test them for like 30 minutes during free unequip and be like, oh my god, this hero doesn't one-shot everyone, do 30,000 damage immediately with the S3. This hero is hot garbage, totally unusable. The thing is, you got to understand that Smilegate definitely has a team in charge of balancing the heroes before release. Because one thing that they don't want to do is make the hero overpowered, because they've already set the precedent that if they nerf a hero, they're going to have to give you a selector or some kind of refund, and they probably don't want to do that. So they're probably going to err on the side of caution, and if anything, buff the hero later if they think that it's underpowered. I mean, they've been doing buffs a long time. Nerfs are much rarer in comparison. But the thing is, you have to understand that when they're playtesting, they're probably playtesting with some of the best gear in the game. Because in any game, you have to make sure that it's tuned at the highest level. Because if you tune it to work too well at the mid-tier level, like for Epic 7, like the Masters or Challenger tier level, the Legend players are going to squeeze every little ounce of power out of it, and it's going to be totally busted. So you better believe that Smilegate is testing these things with legend tier gear and doing RTA matches against each other. And they probably are trying to make this hero work against a very specific comp. And what happens is, as the players, we don't know what that balancing process necessarily was. So a lot of times with new heroes, the community is quick to say that a hero is trash until after hours of experimentation with RTA, some player figures out the same role that probably Smilegate intended them to work in, and they actually turn out to be quite powerful in that niche role. Like Holiday Yafine is another hero where when she came out, people were like, this hero is hot trash. Like, yeah, she counters Bazaar, but then she just stands there and does nothing. But you're going to find at the high level, a lot of people consider her a very, very powerful pick, and they are utilizing her quite well. So, you know, I think the point of that is to say that when you're, because I know what the thing is, like when a new hero comes out, and especially F2P players are resource starved, the first thing they want to know is this hero worth it? And I think what I'm trying to tell you is that no one really knows that answer right away. Even top legend players, like I always err on the side of caution usually, where I'm like, I'm not really sure if they're going to be that great, because I don't want to tell someone that a hero is going to be amazing and then be disappointed. I don't want to tell them that the hero is trash just to have them become a meta unit later. I usually have a pretty solid idea of whether or not I consider a hero to be good. Like Landy, I consider her to be a solid pocket pick in RTA and pretty mediocre in everything else. What's the other last hero? Last Rider Crow, I consider him to be quite powerful in RTA stall comps, pretty trash in everything else, and we'll see if that pans out. But yeah, the point is, understand that Smilegate isn't just releasing heroes at random. They've play tested it. They've played probably hundreds of matches against each other until they found that with the best gear in the game, this hero has some kind of purpose that it excels at. Now, whether, I'm not saying they can't make mistakes, but if they do, generally they'll buff it at some point, months maybe, but at some point. But the thing is, be very careful to judge a hero as trash or godly too early, and level set your expectations for the future, because I don't think there's going to be another hero like FCC or Ruel or Arbiter in the future, or SSB, where they're literally just good in everything. There's no reason not to build them. I think considering that Epic 7 already has at this point like 200 heroes, we already have a lot of general purpose heroes where they have defense breaks and damage or whatever. We're going to find that more and more future heroes are designed to counter very specific things. So anyways, that's my discussion video. Just a very quick video here. Maybe I could redirect people asking me about Landy and what I think about how horrible she is to this video and what my thoughts are. But basically the summary is, the heroes are balanced in some way, and it takes a while sometimes for even top players to figure out what their best role is. New heroes expect them not to be general purpose anymore, but to be tuned to counter certain things in RTA. And that's about it. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. But I just thought it's important to kind of discuss this, because I feel like the benchmark seems to be SSB, and everyone's disappointed when the hero is not as groundbreaking as SSB, especially when it comes to limited heroes. I just got to say that going forward, I don't think there will ever be another SSB tier hero released. At least not more than like one a year or something. So anyways, thanks for watching. Again, put your comments below. Until next time, peace out, boys.